Wouldn't we love to know what made Superman? Now you hear all these Marvel origin stories,
I
right?
did 12-hour shifts in the ICU.
I was actually searching out 1099 independent 100% commission only jobs.
Now, when do you decide I'm going to quit my job? Was it 2 weeks in?
Real worst case is, yeah, you don't make any money, you break even. And if that happens, are you going to quit?
The convenience that you're in is crushing you.
So like if he says he's going to do something, we're like, okay, I'll just do it better than you.
What kind of sacrifices did you have to make?
Like, I'm actually making a difference. We're dealing with middle of America people. They need this. It's actually a win-win situation. That's what I was really wanting to find.
Together, and we've got a book of business now that we can retire on.
You can find a very high-paying job and not be satisfied or what you're doing, or you find people that are super happy about what they do, but they're still living paycheck to paycheck.
These women are starting to get out there killing it. We're the ones out here, helping set these appointments.
And
I'm sure we
like when we can mesh this together here at Family First Life, it can be a win for everybody if and only if you're willing to work, be coachable, willing to get better every single day, keep your emotions out of it, not have a big ego.
Y'all, welcome. I'm Mac Agabor, president of FFL Haven, to enter the Haven Team Huddle. I'm excited because this is a day that I've really been looking forward to. It's almost like that situation where there's, how you have those like celebrity crushes, right? They don't know that you're crushing on them, but you really are. I've had this celebrity crush for a minute, right? So I'm glad that we have the chance to hear incredible stories. So we're going to be talking to Colton and Leah today. So just to kind of give you an idea, you guys tell me, it's almost one of those situations where, and I don't know, you guys tell me, is it more when Wonder Woman met Superman, or would you say it's more like when Black Widow met the Hulk? I don't know what it is, but they're a power couple. They've been doing some awesome things. They go over just what their journey has been. So Colton, I appreciate you being on here. I'm sure Leah's around the corner. Can you hear us okay?
Yes. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Leah was in the room, but she's popping in our office.
He doesn't really let me this close to him. So.
All right, we're gonna keep it straight real because I really appreciate if there was anyone that what I would call real in the company, it definitely would be you two. So I want to just kind of share with it. I know you've been through a transition, and everyone does in the business. So I'm gonna go through a couple different things, and we're going to do some basically just a rapid fire of questions. We just want to really know what is it like, what it was. So let's kind of back from the beginning. We have a guy, I call Colton Clark Kent, right? He's cool on the inside, but man, he is an assassin, right? Really, right? Or backwards. So Colton, tell us, how does someone, and just for those that don't know, this is a gentleman, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Colton, you were top 10 I'm talking FFL production 2020 when he first came in the gate, right? Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Yeah. So listen, don't be deceived by the calm looks. This is a guy, he knows how to help families. Tell us, where did it come from? How did you even get here? And then we're going to add you to the mix, Leah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I came in at the right time. So, I mean, when I first came into Family First Life, the company is, I came in right at COVID time. So some people could say it can be the worst time, best time, whatever it is. It just got another objection that you had to overcome to even just get in the house, because we were face to face at that point. But when I come in, and if I'm starting anything, I've got to be 100% all in. And that's really what it came to. So I think it was great timing for when I first came into the business. Obviously, Leah, she's helped me tremendously. I wanted being able to even help as many families as I did if it wasn't for her helping run the agency. I mean, even booking me appointments, all of that. So it's really a big team effort. But the biggest thing is, and I tell everybody that, is income producing activities, is I didn't focus on anything else other than that. because I'm learning. I'm at my very worst. Like, I sucked in the beginning. I was really bad, and I couldn't contain myself or worry about anything else that wasn't going to bring in an income. And that's buying leads, talking, booking appointments, talking to clients, whether it's, like I said, booking appointments or running appointments to get a sale. Because that's the only thing that's going to produce an income for us here, is if we're going to actually help a family where they're protected and then our bank account grows, then it's a win-win situation. So, because I knew if I wasn't going to make anything, I wasn't going to, or if I wasn't going to make any sales, I wasn't going to make any money. And then I wasn't going to be here very long, because I had an income that needed to be had for our family to just live, for our mortgage to be paid, bills to be paid, all that type of stuff.
How many kids do you have when you came in?
3, 2,
yeah, 2 at the time.
2 at the time, 3 now.
Let me ask you this. I mean, I heard it from the beginning, so let's pick it back off of that. They asked this question: are winners found or are they bred? So you go into FFL. Did you guys hear what he said? I go all in into anything. Where did that come from? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I think it's a competitive background I've always had. So no matter what it is, if we're playing a silly game, I've got to win. Like, I'm not somebody that's
bad.
I don't have to talk smack. I'll just talk smack inside my head, and I'll play little games within myself. But like, I've got to win, and if I don't, like, I have to have another chance to beat you. And like, I can play those games with myself. I can play those games with my clients. I can play those games with
Me.
Leah, seeing other people on the leaderboard. So it's just something, like, I don't want to do something half-assed, for lack of a better word.
Absolutely. So tell us this. You came with that mentality. If I understand, hey, you're a wrestler, which, hey, if anyone's taking notes, sports are a good thing. It breeds, hopefully, if it's done properly, the right activity, the right attributes, right? You take that into the workforce. Where did you go from there? Did you go to college? How did that lead you here?
Yeah, so I wrestle in college as well. I mean, that's honestly what probably has helped me have the key characteristics that I think make somebody unsuccessful in the real world. But so it has that competitive nature. But yeah, I mean, I went to college, got my criminal justice degree, and thought I was gonna go be a cop or whatever it might be. That obviously didn't work out. I mean, I went to pest control.
You're a cop,
really...
right? You're a policing them bugs.
That's right. I was keeping those bugs secure. But so yeah, I mean, I did that.
How did you get into pest control? Like, how did that happen? That's not something you just jump into.
Like, my dad and brother were already doing it with another company, so I was like, why not? And it's sad that I could still make more as a pest control person than a cop. But so I did that for about a year, was coming up on 2 years, year and a half, and was kind of capped out. I saw the writing on the wall, so I was looking for something better.
Were you sales or how did you kind of transition?
No, I wasn't. I had a route. Basically just killed bugs from business to business. Didn't do any home stuff. Had some upselling opportunity with it with like our current clients, but that was as close to sales as I got. So it was, yeah, it's not like I was door knocking or selling door to door or anything like that.
So no real sales experience. You were the only people you really talked to were the bugs as you zapped them, and the clients. Maybe can I upsell? And that's it. So you were capped out, and hey, and just so people know what you left and the sacrifice and the faith it took. Roughly, what were you making at the
time? 80 to 100 grand a year.
Okay. He knew he had to do more because he wanted to do more. How did looking for something else come in? Were you thinking, hey, I got to build my family. I want to do more give back to my church. Like, what bred this desire to do more? Because a lot of people, would you agree, they're content with that amount of income?
Yeah, they really are. And I couldn't be. And that it's kind of a funny story. Leah kind of tells it better. If you want to kind of explain how we were going through that change. because she was going through a career change at the same time.
And so this is a perfect segue. Let's let Wonder Woman come in the mix.
Oh Lord.
You saw him in pest control. What kind of background had you come from? And when did the transition come in? When the conversation started about, hey, we should look for something else?
Yeah, I was in healthcare. I've been in healthcare, still in healthcare for the last, gosh, I mean, at the time, probably since 2009. And when did we get into this? 2020. So yeah, a little over 10 years in healthcare. I kind of had done the same thing. Got my bachelor's in nursing, and I kind of raised in ranks pretty quickly, which I found was difficult at a young age. And that was kind of something we always found was difficult, is no matter where we went, we were always the youngest ones, and we were always so we were always just people our age just weren't as into finding and doing things that were, I guess, finding success. I mean, people talked about it, but no one really did anything about it. So got up into management and nursing, and I hated that. Management was awful, and I was very stressed. I was on call 24/7. And so never really got a break, but so I think I came home crying most nights from my job.
Adult
And
babysitting or what? Like, what was the biggest challenge?
Just yeah, I guess so. It was just like herding cats. It was, the ugly side of, I thought going into management would make a difference for the nurses on the floor. But then I found out it's a corporate world, and you don't really I mean, as management, you don't really have a say in anything. You pretty much just try to like keep everyone calm with the decisions that corporate makes. So that on top of just, yeah, not being happy with salary and everything like that. So yeah, that's when I think I came home crying one night, and he told me, I mean, this was also coming from, I did 12-hour shifts in the ICU, and I would, night shift, you don't ever want to call a doctor on night shift because they would cuss you out, even though you'd be like, no, I'm telling you something's wrong with my patient. So he was used to me coming home crying, or like, hey, put the bottle of wine in the freezer before I get home. I know it's not normal to drink at 7 a.m., but when you're a night shift nurse, it is. So I'd sit in the shower and cry with my bottle of wine, and, be sad that the doctor yelled at me, and be happy that I saved my patient's life. But he finally was like, I hate seeing you like this. Why don't you get into real estate? And I was like, what in the world are you talking about? Something he'd always wanted to do. He'd read all the books. He thought, he was going to go into that. And so I was like, hey, okay, let's do it. I don't know how he convinced me, but I did it.
Were you wanting her to take the plunge first, Colton, or were you doing it?
That's what he does.
Yeah, because I knew I couldn't do it, just go cold turkey into real estate, because you had to, I mean, we all know you don't get paid right away. It takes a while to do anything. So it's like, maybe we can do that. I stay on the pest control side, and she ended up doing it and doing really well at it. But then I was like, I need to.
You didn't even wait that long. He was like, the second I put in my 2-week notice at my job, which, okay, I put in like 2 or 3 2-week notices because they begged me to stay. And then I'm finally like, no, like, I'm really going to leave. And I think it was the second or third 2-week notice. He was like, hey, I'm putting mine in too. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, I want to, be able to control my income too. And that's where it was like, okay. His was a lot more like, it wasn't just like, okay, we knew I was going into real estate. I was able to get my license while still bringing in an income. He was like trying to figure out what it was that was going to work for him. And so he brought me a lot of ideas.
And did you guys have kids now at the time too?
Say that again?
Did you guys have kids at the time too?
So we had 2 kids at the time, both under 3. I think we had like a 1 and a 2-year-old. And we had this brand new mortgage that we bought with the salaries that we were paying at the time.
Wow.
So it was like, no,
were you two used to, like, one is more risky, or Colton, have you always had this in you? What did he just all of a sudden show a different side of him that you've never seen, or did you know this was brewing?
No, he's definitely the risk taker, and I'm more like, he's just like, we'll figure it out, we'll wing it, and I'm like, no, 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 like, we need to plan this out. I don't know what you think, this is not how life works. So we kind of balance each other out in that aspect. Unfortunately, we both are, I mean, unfortunately and fortunately, we're both very competitive. So like, if he says he's gonna do something, we're like, okay, I'll just do it better than you, and then he's like, okay, here we go. Like, it that's
That's awesome.
kind of where that is. But yeah, he's definitely, I mean, every part of this business was risk. I mean, it was like, hey, I need, $5,000 for leads, and I'm like, go fly a kite, like, figure it out, go door knock someone or something. And then like, we would pull from the savings and give him that, and he would bring it back 4 or 5 times, and I'm like, okay, I guess you're all right at this.
Let me ask you this real quick. I know
Yeah.
people start in different aspects of the business. They start different, if you can say. Some have money, some don't. Did him having a job that was steady give you confidence? And let me ask you a second part of that. Had he been in something where it was commission only, would you have had as much confidence to do it? To let your job go? What was it that gave you confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to try this out?
Oh, me, yeah. Honestly, what I was looking for, I was actually searching out 1099 independent 100% commission only jobs at that time.
Why that?
Because I did the research and I found out, I mean, those are the highest producing income fields out there. Like, financial industry creates the most millionaires out there. You can make doctor money without having a doctorate. I'm not very smart, but I can go out there and produce a very high income very quickly. But not only was I was looking at that, because I did a couple of things actually before finding Family First Life, like very small stints. And I was looking for somebody that did all that, but also trained their agents, trained their sales force, because there's a lot of people out there just obviously hire, throw them, see if they stick. If they stick, okay, you might be worth talking to now. So I was just really trying to find all of that in one. And then I found the life insurance space. And then, like, I was like, crap, this seems really cool. Cause I'm not like, I'm an introvert. I'm not somebody that goes out, cold calls people. I'm not somebody that can go be super salesy right off the bat. So I was like, sales was a fear of mine.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talked about the space that we're in, people ask for our help. Hell, 25% of the people are going to buy from you no matter what you do, just because they need it. It's like, I'm not really selling you. I'm just solving a problem, and it's just my job to figure out what that problem is to make it apparent that you need it.
I love it. One thing that dawns on me, if you're taking notes, is you got to choose your hard. You can go the traditional route, and this business is hard, by the way. It's meant to be. It's the barrier of entry, because if it wasn't, there would be no money here, right? So some people, they go through the hard part of the business because this is the first time that they've experienced entrepreneurship. And then they look on the other side of the graph. They think that somehow it's greener there. Well, what if I went back to work? But you got people who they hit the upper echelons of their fields, and they were looking for something better. And he did the research. And if you do the research yourself, you'll find out that the top paid positions in life are the ones where you bet on yourself. So the question is not what's better. It's you got to choose your hard, right? So how do you find Family First? You're literally Googling 1099. So there are people like Colton looking for 1099 positions that are looking. How did you dawn on where you came on? Like, did someone call you? Did you see an ad? How did that work out?
Yeah, I was on Indeed. Like, I was searching everywhere. Then I finally found life insurance. I actually applied to a separate, so I had a criminal justice background. I found this, people that help first responders with life insurance. So it's like these companies that went and sold life insurance to firefighters, police department, state employees, stuff like that. And I didn't get the job. It was the first thing that and it ticked me off.
It was the first time he'd ever been told no, I think, to anything. So cue in angry Colton trying to find a 1099 position.
And I went
You're don't you know who I am?
Oh yeah, it came as a punch in the throat to him. I remember I'm doing laundry and I'm like, it's fine, it's not that big a deal, and he's just like, oh, it is. Like,
I went and I searched this guy out on LinkedIn. I think I sent him like a message on top of that, like never responded to anything. I didn't get it. It's a blessing in disguise because like what you were paid over there is like nothing compared to over here, but I never heard Fan First Life at all. But so I didn't get it, obviously. So I kept looking and I expanded my search. I was honestly looking over the entire US, just seeing like, and eventually applied to an ad like in Dallas, who I eventually hired. And it's kind of the process we all go through, and where I got to go and got prompted to watch the agency overview video. And knowing what we know now, if you have one of those, you can see anytime anybody looks at the video. And like I literally watched this video 4 times in a row, and like I had like,
wait, why? Why 4 times?
I was taking so many notes of the business because like I'm green. I know nothing about the life insurance space, how you get paid, and then like I was taking all these notes to present to her, like
he was preparing his presentation
and to make it work. But then obviously that guy knew like I was a for sure thing. Like, you're not gonna watch it once. Like, you're gonna watch it multiple times. Like we love to see those people come into our business. But so it was honestly great timing for me because I went through the other like independent jobs that I was searching, and like now like I found the right vehicle. Luckily, I started with Fan First Life. I didn't start with any of these other companies where people get tainted with these other insurance companies where they don't know if it's going to work. Like we were extremely blessed that I didn't start anywhere else, and I focused on this, and like it's been great.
You were born in a Lamborghini. Now, just so we have it on file and people can maybe relate, what other things did you try that were 1099-ish?
Yeah, so because I had to find something where I could start part-time. And so originally it started with it's those I think
it's like it was the credit card sales, right?
It was the point of sales. Like you go in on the to pay with your credit card, where you insert your credit card. You basically sold those to businesses. Like you're literally cold calling businesses, trying to get a meeting to show them how you can sell this. And they had different products where you could pass the credit card fee onto the customer, all this type of stuff. But
so when you get that 3% fee from those small businesses, that's where they would like, yeah.
For like a minute.
But it was also called, this was a great part, I don't think we've ever told this story, it was also called point of sale. So his presentation for that was he brought me like POS. He made a business card. It was like POS. And I was like, do you think maybe we should change the name? Like, you think that? And he's like, no, it's going to work. I'm like, oh, okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
You heard it here first.
I heard it here first. So you did that. And guys, if you're watching this is critical, because so often when you hear and you talk to a top producer like Colton, you hear all the great stuff, but we don't know the story behind the story of what made him, right? Wouldn't we love to know what made Superman? Now you hear all these Marvel origin stories, right? It's awesome. You know what made Wolverine, right? This is what made him. So what are some other things that you tried?
Those were like, with inside those, there's like a couple different companies there that I started, but it's like, so it got my feet wet. Where like I thought they were going to train us. They just kind of showed you how you could Google businesses and find the owners of the businesses to call. But it got my feet wet. Like I was straight cold calling. And like one time, like I got to they call it the gatekeeper, the admin, or whoever the office assistant you're talking to, and they transfer you back to the owner. And it's like one of my first calls, like I got transferred back there and I hung up the phone. Like I was so nervous. I didn't know what to say. But that's what I mean when I say it's great timing, is because I went through cold calling. I knew what not having leads was. Like, and then I found this other thing. Like people were like sending in their name, their address, their phone number, like asking for life insurance. Like I can call that all day. Like I'm not cold calling you. You fill this out. I don't care what you tell me. Like, it's gonna work. And that's that little tweak, and just that is the huge difference for me personally, that I could come in and just put everything that I could get into it. Because the other thing, I couldn't get over the fact that I was cold calling people. Like, I'm selling a credit card system that, like, does it really matter? Am I making a difference? Or, like, I might as well just keep doing what I'm doing, freaking pest control. But when I found this, like, I'm actually making a difference. We're dealing with middle of America people. They need this. It's actually a win-win situation. That's what I was really wanting to find. Like, yeah, I could go sell cars. I could go sell this or sell that. But am I going to make a difference as a whole? Not just because normally that was the thing. It's normally you can find a very high paying job and not be satisfied or what you're doing, or you find people that are super happy about what they do, but they're still living paycheck to paycheck.
100%.
And like, when we can mesh this together here at Family First Life, it can be a win for everybody, if and only if you're willing to work, be coachable, willing to get better every single day, keep your emotions out of it, not have a big ego.
I love it. I mean, teachers, cops, labors of love, right? Here, first things first, if you're taking notes, there are a lot of people that come in this and they get kind of the jitters of, I'm calling people. What would you say to someone who they don't really understand, or they're getting scared about calling people who requested help? They haven't been through what Colton's been through. So thank you for going through that. Real cold calling is in real sales. They didn't request it. You're going to them and trying to sell them something they didn't even ask for. So what would you say to someone who hasn't gone through the experience? Thank goodness you did for them vicariously. Give them confidence to go make these dials.
And I'm not going to lie, because when I first bought my first set of leads, I still felt that a little bit when I got a little bit of pushback. But then, like, when you flip your perspective, flip your mindset from what I would just prepare my mindset for every dial day is like, these people requested my help. If I don't call them and if I don't help them, no one will. And if something happens to them, that's on me, and I have to sleep with that at night. And because of that, I'm going to call these people until they answer and until they physically tell me no at the door. And if they do that, then I know I did everything that I could. And then, like, that would be like little phrases I would tell myself before every dial day. There's little things I tell myself before I go into a home. Like, if you flip that script, that mindset, and that will change everything. If you thought that same thing, or you thought that same thing about your mom, grandma, grandpa, whatever it is, then you would feel differently about picking up that phone. And then the few people that tell you no, tell you to F off, hang up on you, it's not going to be a big deal, because that's just part of what we do. We need to find those people that are interested and that actually need this.
So I'm curious, because Leah, you dial too, right? You book a lot of appointments.
Yeah.
So what on that? How did you go from W-2 mindset, you're a nurse, you're a management, to real estate, to now you're on the phones dialing, making appointments? How did you get over into that mindset?
Well, so the real estate definitely helped me there, because I'm not a phones person, or didn't come from a background of being on the phones at all, except to get cursed out by doctors, but that's pretty much it. So I guess I was used to, like, the rejection side of things, like, why are you calling me? But when he was going through that period, and I was that transition period of trying to figure out what he wanted to do, and I was doing real estate, I had finally, like, my 2 weeks had come up and I was full blown real estate. A lot of my clients weren't wanting to go see homes until the evening hours. So I had, daytime hours to do, basically I was calling for him. I remember him giving me a list for, I think, the credit card sales. I think that worked one time, where he gave me like a phone book or something, and you're like, here you go. And I'm like, okay. Hey. So then I did it. I did it. And then I found out he was trying to record me secretly to see what I was saying and see how good I was. And then I quit for like 3 days. I was like, nope, not helping you. But it worked out. That schedule worked out. COVID, I would dial for him during the day. He was transitioning out of pest control, so he'd be at pest control all day. I would be dialing, and then we would both be kind of running evening appointments somehow. I don't really remember how that worked. I think I blacked it all out. But
kids, why you guys were both running?
So we did put them into, and that was another thing. That was another one of our big bills. When we moved, we both had the high paying jobs, and we got a nice bigger house, and which came with a beautiful mortgage attached to that. And we had decided to send the kids to a private school, I guess you could call it. It was a daycare that transitioned into kind of a private school. And we said, if anything happens, we'll sell the house before we take them out of the school, because we knew that the education that they were getting there would be, above anything else that we could give them with a house. So that's kind of, I guess, what drove both of us for a while too, was that came with a lovely bill attached to it as well. But we knew that was kind of our motivation, was making sure that the kids got the best education that they could get. I remember when my family had Googled, how much that the school cost, they were like, "Oh my God, how are you doing that?" I'm like, "We will make it work," because we knew how important education at that level was, just being as young as they were. So we did that. And I think that slowly, the real estate side and me meeting people and talking to people and doing that kind of thing, and then helping him dial, that was a slow transition that eventually became full-time. And then coming in and office managing and getting an office managing, which convention 2022, 2020, 2021, encouraged us to get the office. That's when that happened. And then
Pause you there for a second, because let's fast forward. You get in, Colton, your first weekend. What did it look like? When did you get a ROI on this thing?
On the office or on the business?
Oh, on the business. No.
Yeah.
I mean, your first run day, what was it like? Did you fall on your face? Did you help a lot of families? What did it look like? Your first week, first month? When did you know, okay, I got some momentum here?
Yeah. So my first week, so back then we all started just on Facebook leads. So that's what essentially I did. So I think I spent around, honestly, $1,000 my first week, because that's what everybody did. Got a credit card because we weren't gonna use our personal funds, so I got a credit card just for the business, $5,000 limit. Really, first credit card I ever really got, and that was gonna be for leads only. So the first week, $1,000. I think I did decent. I don't remember it specifically. I know some of it was AIG in there, which some of us all go through. It seems like my first month I was the AIG king. And we all kind of go through that. So that first week, AIG wasn't as many deposits as I would like. And then each week I got better and better. Like the first week I might have broke completely even, to be honest with everybody.
Okay.
And then week 2 a little bit more, week 3 a little bit more. Then week 4 it seemed to start to click.
Real quick, Colton, would you say your first month in the business, yes, you want to make money, but the scoreboard is you getting your feet wet and sharpening your axe? That's the real scoreboard here, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I even tell people now is I'll tell people, most people make anywhere from 2 to 5 times what they're investing on leads, whatever it might be. Best case is, yeah, more than that. Real worst case is, yeah, you don't make any money, you break even. And if that happens, are you going to quit? And if you are, like we say, it's hard work, and you are learning. You literally suck in the beginning. I was bad. There's so many things that I've learned. We had a call today about how to properly pivot and help someone pre-check when they're in the home. And I lost so many sales just because I didn't know how to pivot if I got to decline somewhere. And when I'm in my very first appointment, I might lose a sale, but 6 months from now, or even 2 months from now, I might be able to sell that, and that's going to increase your profitability. So if you're one that just is going to quit when the going gets tough, it's going to be hard for you. It's going to be a roller coaster ride. But it's not like you're failing each time, or you're not making a sale. It's you're learning, and you're analyzing that appointment. You're analyzing that phone call. What could I have done better? And what really kept me going is like, I always treated everything. It's not, and I haven't said this in a while, but it's not happening to you. It's happening because of you. If you're not booking enough appointments, or people aren't buying from you, or people aren't answering the phone, it's not the leads suck. It's not they're not buying. It's not the carrier's not going to approve them. It's like, what could have you done better? People aren't answering the phone. Are you dialing at the right time of day? It's my fault. I'm not dialing at the right time of day. I'm not calling them up enough times. I'm not following up with them enough. I'm not texting. I'm not presenting it in a way. Maybe my tonality is wrong when I'm talking to these people. I'm not gaining their trust. I'm not diffusing them to open up to me. So that it's everything that what I'm not doing correctly. And if you switch it to blaming yourself versus blaming others, it's going to be a lot easier.
Taking full responsibility. I love it. I love it. So you get going. And by the way, let's track back, guys. Success is an art, or sorry, there's two things. Making money, success is a science. You just go work and the money comes. But having happiness is an art. So there are people who are making decent money, but they're not happy. They're not giving back, because normally to be able to be happy, you do things that don't necessarily make money. Where here you can get the both mesh. So to go back with what you're saying, you start cranking. I mean, you don't know the number, but you start helping a certain number of families. Now, when do you decide I'm going to quit my job? Was it 2 weeks in? Was it a month in? When did you say I am done?
So it was, so I helped 20 families a month, 3 months in a row. So first month I did 20.
Take notes. 3 months in a row. That's a good number.
Yeah. So 3 months in a row, I got to the point, I'm like, Leah, like, we're losing money, me keeping my pest control job and only putting a portion of it towards part-time. So like, I had to prove the concept. I had to prove the income. It's not a one-hit wonder where we had one big month and then we were going to flatline after that. It was like 3 months in a row. I figured it out. And I tell everybody to take their business in 90-day increments anyway. So it's kind of exactly how we did it. Is, yes, I was part-time those 3 months, but I wasn't working part-time hours. I was still putting in 25, 32 hours a week part-time into this to figure it out. Because you have to be divulged in this, especially in the beginning. Like,
and let's be real. You're coming home Monday night. Are you going out running appointments in the beginning? Whatever Leah books, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like every day of the week, you're going out because this had to work, right?
Well, he was at that time, we had moved back to an hour and a half. We had moved an hour and a half away. When we both had those jobs, we moved an hour and a half back for my management job, but he stayed, and his job stayed an hour and a half away. So he would leave at 4 a.m., I think it was, get there so he could get done by 3:30 to get back by 5 to then go do appointments until however many appointments I got that evening. I think the goal at that time was, 3 or 4 appointments in the evening if I can manage that.
We would still do what everybody's schedule at FFL was at that point. Monday dial day, so I'd come home. She would book during the day, and I would come and book when I could too, and run evening, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, Saturday, and just book Saturday as far as we could. So I'd probably get 4 appointments in the evenings during the week, and then 10 on Saturday.
Wow, that's awesome. If you're taking notes, all I see is sacrifice. We see all the accolades at the end, but we don't know what's in there in the middle. And here's what it took behind the scenes. And here's the truth. And I love America. It's the greatest country in the world. Whatever your situation is, it's your greatest strength that you're in the greatest country in the world, but it's also your greatest weakness, because the convenience that you're in is crushing you. Whereas if you look at the situations of the Leah and the Coltons, they had to push in order to make it happen. You almost had to burn a bridge. You had a house that was big. You had a private school that you needed to make. And so for this to work, you had to you couldn't just sit complacent and it just fall into your lap, right? You had to go make it happen. So fast forward, I started seeing this guy Colton on the leaderboard. I'm like, who are they? Listen, I played soccer. Listen, I'm competitive. If you're going next to me, I'll run a little bit faster. That guy, right? So you maintain that schedule. Once you knew you were off, you were figured it out. You start cranking. Did you have a goal? I mean, how was it you were helping 50, 60? I think I saw like one time you did like what 90 or 100 family. Like, is this guy even human? Like, how did that even happen? Were you going for that goal specifically, or did you running and being normal Colton is how it happened?
Honestly, it was I just continued to take on so many different leads. Like at that point, like so many leads were coming in. I was buying so many leads, and I think that pushed me to go sell even more. And then we're continuing to grow, bring on staff. Other people are responsible for us. Like it kept pushing and kept pushing and kept pushing. Like there's just always what's the next level. So I mean, I think it was kind of just perfect timing for everything that came to us. But I mean, we'll see what happens this year. I mean, this last year you whooped my butt, so
Hey, that's because I thought you were behind me. I'm like, I gotta get going a little faster, this guy.
No, he came on December. That's what happened.
So here's the truth. Same thing with Colton, and same thing happened to me. Same thing that happened to anyone else. Sean Mike, he asked Stephen Yee on stage, "Hey, how are you doing?" And Stephen Yee was doing. He told how many families he was helping a month, and are the bills paid? Yes, they are. And you know what was happened? Stephen was like this. He wasn't growing. It's because he was content. So for any of you, whether you're starting off, wherever you are in your business, the reason you're not growing is because you become content. And sometimes you have to burn a bridge. You guys know the story, famous Napoleon. They get onto this island. They are outmanned, they're outgunned, and everyone's all scared. He burns the ships behind him. And people are like, what is this guy doing? The only way that they can leave that area is if they get the other ships. And to get the other ship, they got to win. And guess what? They won. He did these crazy things. So the question to ask yourself is, what kind of bridges do you got to burn? Not saying quit your job tomorrow, right? Don't be crazy. But you got to start thinking, what's holding me back? So let's fast forward. You're cranking. You go through year one. You're one of the top agents. Where do you transition from, okay, I want to transition from doing a lot, helping a lot of families, to actually building the agency? What kind of mind shift did you two have to actually do to start having a successful agency and going to the next stage?
I think it really was. So we were here not quite half the year when I first started, and then that's when we went to convention 2021, and that's what really kind of took us off. Like, we want to build something. We want to get an office. We need to bring on staff. We want to bring on agents, because at that point we were like low key doing it and weren't taking it consistently serious. It was after going there, seeing everybody else that is doing it, and like we wanted to kind of make a difference. We kind of wanted to, I mean, we're in Kansas. We wanted to put Kansas on the map and build it from there. And that's when we took it. It's when we got the office is when we took it serious.
It's like having another baby, ain't it? You got to go
It
with
is.
that baby, right? Same thing with me. I was content. I helped over 400 families in my garage. I was like, I'm good. People say, get an office. Nah, who wants to get that? The truth is, once you got an office, it does push you, but now you're so grateful you did. You can't think of life without it, right? It's just crazy that you did it that way. So Leah, I know there's a lot of sacrifices that people make. As a mom, you're helping Colton. Now you started getting in the mix. 2 questions for you. What kind of sacrifices did you have to make? I mean, he's to be able to help that many families, he's gone. What kind of sacrifices does that look like? And secondly, when and why did you decide to start getting in the mix and selling as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think your wife, you guys know this better than we do, probably, with all those kids. We got up to 3 kids, and I don't know anyone does it with more. So props to you guys. You guys kind of set the bar there on parenthood. So that there's a lot of sacrifices. I've always hated, sugar. I'm not one to sugarcoat. I'm pretty blunt with, the facts, and I try not to make it sound all like, it hasn't been all roses and daisies, because it's taken a lot. It's taken a lot of time. It's taken a lot of giving up, what a lot of people still our age were going out and doing, and things we had to miss. He missed a lot of family stuff, you know, working every Saturday all day. He missed a lot of, you know, just weddings, the little things, you know. And at the time it was very frustrating for, you know, if we had an event. And then I look back now and I'm like, I don't even like that cousin. Like, why was I mad he couldn't come to the one? I got so annoyed by the time we were like, I was there, I left with the kids, and I'm like, we were there for an hour. Why would I be mad that he missed that when he just went and, you know, made 14,000 on one Saturday? Like, what is wrong? So like, looking back, hindsight, but I think, you know, when you're in the moment and you're a mom and you got all these kids screaming at you and everything, that part's hard. But looking back, you know, we're teaching our kids work ethic and the ability to build something, and coming both from W-2 families, you know, going outside of your comfort zone, and it's all of those things kind of put together. So then really, yeah, it was the competition side again of me that was like, okay, I'm setting all these appointments for him. And I think me and Anna touched base this last convention a little bit about that. Like, hey, you know what? Like, these women are starting to get out there killing it. We're the ones out here, you know, helping set these appointments. I'm sure we could sell these guys way better than our husbands could. And
Facts.
and that's kind of where it became. And another sacrifice was giving up the full-time real estate gig. And that was it. We had kind of come to a head of like, we both can't build two empires. We're a family. We have to figure out what's going to be best. Is it, you know, real estate where you're getting the commission, you know, 30 days out and you have no residual income from that? Or is it, you know, building this thing together and we've got a book of business now that we can retire on? Like, it was just really breaking down the numbers of like, this made more sense. And so that was kind of the sacrifice there, but that's come full circle now. And then, yeah, going in and starting to run, that was just me being competitive and me being like, anything you can do, I can do better, I'm sure. But I have learned, it is a learning curve going from just dialing and setting the appointments to actually exactly what we talked about earlier, the presentation and figuring it out. So to be fully honest, yeah, I did a lot my very first month because of competitiveness, and I wanted to prove a point that you could be a mom and still do everything else. And then I kind of, you know, slowed down, and maybe I'll write 10 or 15 here or there, and I'm trying to pick that back up, and write
That's
20,
all,
30
10
grand.
or 15. Get to work.
Yeah,
You
no,
sold 3 policies today.
Come on, new normal, y'all.
I did sell 3 policies today. I got like 5 more appointments. That's me keep checking the time. I can't miss.
And are you doing?
But he's right.
Doing it telesales? Are you going in home? And why did you decide one versus the other?
I'm all virtual right now. I do have some mortgage in another state that we are trying to figure that out. And I think that's it too, is a lot of it is balance for me and him, trying to figure out, you know, how can he go run? You know, we do want to start mixing face-to-face back in there, because there's just a certain aspect, and maybe it's different for everyone, but from what we've noticed, you know, being in the business for 2 years now, or 3 almost, you know, there's something about face-to-face that, and being able to kind of mix and mesh the virtual and the face-to-face, but getting back to what you're good at, you know, like he's taken a dip trying to learn the virtual side of things. And it's like, sometimes you just got to get back to the basics and just go, you know, meet the client, and it's harder for them to tell you no in person than it is over the phone to just hang up on you. So that's the new learning curve. And the new learning curve for me is still trying to figure out, I haven't ever really had the time to sit down and look at, like, go to the trainings, like learn how to actually present an appointment. Like, yes, I'm cocky and I shouldn't have been in the beginning, but I'm like, oh, I've heard it a million times, right? Like, I've gone to appointments with him, but like, setting the structure for an appointment is so different. And I really, you know, cut myself at the ankles, not doing the boot camps, going to the trainings, and learning how to sell an appointment, because, you know, mortgage and final expense are very different. So just every type of appointment is kind of different. So I should have tried to learn from the best a little sooner, but here we are. It's always learning.
So as we close, before we talk about the annual reviews, I want to just do a rapid fire. Guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and knock it on the chat. Best part of the business for you, both of you. Best and worst parts.
Time and time. That's, I mean, yeah, we get to go see can leave and go to our kids' stuff. We coached T-ball this last summer. Like we were able to do that, but also time, like we have to learn to manage that and balance that very carefully.
Most families help
Yeah.
them.
82.
That's a lot.
I think 30 for me. Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. From the building side, what was your biggest hurdle, the biggest challenge in the business?
Getting over wanting it more than them.
Yes. I was going to say getting out of our own way, but those two really go together because, yeah, you can't make someone do something they're not going to do.
Let's go to annual reviews real quick. You started doing that recently. What prompted that, and why is that a no-brainer for any agent? How do you do it?
It's so easy. A dog could do it. I do it.
Yeah, I mean,
I do it with zero structure. I'm like, hey, I can save you money. Let's do this. And
well,
like, okay.
And it's the whole thing is like, yeah, you have that book of business that client has kept the policy. They're not charging back. They're not canceling. They already know, like, and trust you. So it's a no-brainer to follow up with them and see if you can continue to help them. It's not you're going out there just to replace your own business. That's not what you're really after or doing. You're because when I'm there, when you originally get to sell, the best thing you can do is sell what you're there for, and what you're there for only. Because a lot of people will go into an appointment and try to help and plant little seeds with a final expense, a mortgage protection, an IUL, an annuity, the kids, this and that. It's like, I'm there, I'm going to sell what I'm there for. And then when it's time to follow back up, we're going to get additional sales. We're going to add on the kid policies. We're going to add on additional coverage. I mean, it's so easy nowadays, especially inflation. Like, it's easy. Like, so do you think what you originally got, do you think that's really enough now to cover your burial? Everybody's going to say no. Like, I downsell so many people that they know they need more coverage. Or I mean, I even went through a lot of it, like where I sold a lot of Eagle with smokers. And when I was there, absolutely, if it saves me money, I'm going to quit smoking. A year later, I talked to him, like, there's no way I'm quitting. Well, then let's get you out of that. If it's gonna jump on you, then we can have something that's a little bit cheaper now, because the whole point was to keep you as a non-smoker. So there's just different kind of intricates of where you're going, but you need to be following up with these clients. Like one I missed, like just last week, a policy I sold, we were and he filled out a new mortgage protection form. Called him, like, going through the appointment, doing it virtually. And he's like, well, I thought I had this on my other house. It was the one where I get my money back. So I want the same plan, because I don't like wasting my money. So if you can't get me that, we're wasting our time. And they're just like, on a hunch, I look them up in my America portal, and I sold them 2 years ago. And like, oh, dude, I sold you that policy.
That's when you know,
like,
you sell so many, you don't even know who the client is you're talking to.
And I had no idea. It's the funniest guy ever. I don't know how I forgot him. But then I'm like, yeah, this follows you to your next one. He's like, oh, that's awesome. And then guess what? Like, I sold the wife this time. But I could have saved that $75 lead bill if I would have followed up properly. So that's one I missed. Like, we didn't continue to follow up to get back, because I could have saved him the hassle, knowing he was just buying a house. Hey, they send any forms out, don't fill them out. Like, they're just going to come to me anyway.
But people are always changing, just like us. You buy a new house, you get a new, you have another kid, you got other things to think about. Maybe a husband died and he didn't have a policy, so we didn't get notified about that. So, now she's on her own. Like, there's so much. People's lives are changing just as much as yours. I think that's what we have to remember.
It's a big deal, just for those, if nothing else, to have a takeaway about what it sounds like. If you've been in the business for 9 months or a year, you can do an annual review. What does that sound like to call them? What do you say? And do you just run the appointment the same way? How does it look like?
No, I mean, I think it's super easy when you're calling them, because either way, when you're calling these people, whatever carrier they have, hey Bob, this is Colton giving you a call about your America policy. Remember that life insurance policy you got about a year ago? I was the one that came out and helped you. It looks like it's time for your annual review. Just make sure you're still up to date with the current plans. Make sure there's no other changes that have happened in this space in 2023 or whatever it is. Just something vague like that. And because when you say, but if you call and act like you don't know them, or call and like, it's so easy, like they already have a policy. You absolutely have to tell them what company they have it with. Because if you don't, at first we weren't like starting with that, and like we were getting kickback. Again, these people are still getting called multiple different times. Telemarketers, they don't know your number, they didn't save your number, they think you're a scam. So you have to start with that.
Did you hear the lady screaming at me this morning? She called back and I answered, and she's like, "Stop calling me or I'm turning you in. I've asked you something." I was like, ma'am, I'm not a telemarketer. I'm calling about your Americo policy." And she's like, "Wait, what?" And she started off hot. She ran it on me for like 20 minutes. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I have that policy." And I'm like, "I know, we've been trying to get a hold of you. Like, it's time for your annual review. Like, why don't you stop yelling at me?" And then she was super cool. So she set the appointment. So it was, yeah. And I think too, mailers have been just dropping some mail to your current clients and just
So
kind
you
of letting
actually
them set the
mail, send it to them, a thank you note, all that
Hand-
stuff.
Yep, handwritten, all personal and everything. It's changed over the year, but yeah, no, that's sometimes they'll just book themselves. You give them a little QR code to scan in your calendar. Yeah.
That's good. Guys, if you got nothing, those were nuggets. Make sure you use what you have, which is that relationship. Remind them what you got. Guys, there's so much. Again, I hope this was helpful. The goal was to make sure we've heard all the good stuff, all the highlight reels, but here's an opportunity to hear, kind of peek through the curtain behind what it really takes and what it's like. You don't have to be top notch, just have to be consistent and do the deal. So guys, take care, take charge. We'll see you guys next week.